Good afternoon and welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor, and my guest today, and she's been my guest before, is Marge Gibbs, who is an incredibly wonderful dog trainer. The founder of, do you still work there, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Of Leash and Collar Dog Training in Riverwoods. And she's my go-to person when I have a question because Marge has all the answers, or at least most of all of them. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. And we're going to start with the premise that a lot of dogs that we see in the shelter wind up in the shelter because of lack of training. They jump, they chew, they run, they bark. They do things where their owners can't cope with them anymore. So we're going to start with puppies, and we're going to start with puppies whether you've purchased the puppy or whether you've gotten a puppy from a shelter. Puppies are puppies. They're pretty unformed lumps of wriggle and love. Marge, what's the best way to start a puppy?
A puppy, well, dog food labels say a dog is a puppy until he's a year and a half old. I disagree with that. The dog enters adolescence about 4.5 months old, and owners of very young puppies, 11, 12 weeks old, in just a few weeks, they're going to see big changes in that dog as the dog enters adolescence. So we have a puppy. As you said, they're just bundles of wiggles and love. Most of puppies are almost identical in the way they react to the world. They're little sponges. The critical period of socialization in dogs towards humans and other animals is from 3 to 12 weeks old. And at that time, the dog as a species begins to change, and they're beginning to tell stranger from someone who's familiar to them. They're beginning to shy off from things that they're not familiar with. So when we have a puppy who is 4 months old, depends on the socialization that that puppy has had in his past towards human beings, towards other dogs, towards cats, towards birds, rabbits, whatever other pets you have in the family. We're going to see with the slightly older puppy, who is really the equivalent of a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, we're going to see some differences in the way they're going to behave along the pike. So with a shelter puppy, most of the shelters out there now have wonderful little greeting rooms where you can bring puppies in. We do suggest to families, if you do have kids, don't surprise them with a puppy. Have them come and have puppies interact with the children as well. So you can see if the puppy is a little bit nervous around a toddler, a little bit nervous around a rowdy boy who wants to roughhouse a lot. If a little girl is a little bit timid about a big dog, maybe she would do better with a smaller animal. And depending on what the shelter has available, check out those puppies. Don't just walk around and say, I want this one because I think it would be a good pet for my children. We'd have the children there.
And what about when you go to purchase a puppy from a breeder? Same thing? There's a litter of 6 puppies, and they're a breed that I want. And I've been careful, and I've picked a breeder where I was able to see the mother and the father. I know this is not a puppy milk situation. I know these puppies have been well raised and socialized by their people. I'm taking my kids. We want to go pick out a puppy, and there are 6. What are we going to look for?
The first thing a good breeder will do, regardless of breed, is ask what the lifestyle is of the family. And if people call us every so often at the training school, we're thinking of getting a dog and I want a border collie, or I want a German shepherd. That's my preferred breed, as you know. Basically, I want to know what the lifestyle is like of the family so that we don't have a hunting dog that is just off the wall with energy and high drive, can't sit still. And we have a family that likes to spend their time watching television, reading. They never take a walk in the woods. They never take walks in the neighborhood. They want a more sedentary type of dog. We can suggest something that would fit in better with those individuals. But most breeders will definitely want to see the children. I don't know of a good breeder out there that doesn't welcome kids coming into the home to actually sit at the litter box side, watch how the puppies interact. But most breeders will kind of select the puppies that they see that would be more sedentary, the puppies that would be more active, the puppy that is going to grow into, like my shepherd, 75 pounds, you know, in just a couple of weeks. Basically, if we have a newborn infant or a toddler, being jumped on by a dog that size in just a couple of months can be a problem if the family isn't going to get involved with training very soon. These are all the things we look for. So no breeders, most breeders I know are eager to have the kids come into the house. They want to see the kids too.
We've picked the puppy. When is it suitable to start training the puppy?
That is something that we play games with, and not games really, but with the veterinarians. We are worried about parvovirus. We are worried about distemper, the new strain of leptospirosis that is out there. Basically, if the dogs do not have a good vaccination record going, they're at risk coming out into any social situation, not just a training class, but taking a walk in the neighborhood or going to the dog park.
I've seen 8-week-old puppies in the dog park. It makes me ill.
Yes, and this is something that we usually, we work in tandem with veterinarians. We want 3 DHL shots. If the puppy is coming in earlier or the family is desperate, we want a DVM's okay that they feel that the dog's immunity is strong enough to actually come out into a group situation. Otherwise, we will work with the family in their home. We will help them with housebreaking and mouthing and chewing and all the things that they desperately need big time. At that age bracket. And if they can't get into a well-run puppy class, then we would definitely say find a trainer who will come into the home and give you a half hour here and there to help you along the way.
Okay, one of the first breaks that we see working with shelter dogs, where dogs are apt to come in, is when they start cutting teeth. And anywhere from 6 months to 9 months, when the directional sofa has been eaten and the beautiful antique wooden rocking chair has been demolished, people dump their dogs. Are there things that people can do? I mean, how do you... I know what I did with mine, with my dogs, very simply. When I left the house, the dog went into a crate.
You bet.
When I came home, the dog came out of the crate. And if the dog got destructive, the dog was firmly told no, not put in the crate, because the crate was never punishment, but given something appropriate to chew. And when they started chewing on the appropriate, told they were very good dogs.
Yeah. Chewing and mouthing, to me, are two different things. Puppies have to chew. They're teething. Something that is soft, something that is hard. They're constantly using their teeth, and they will use it on all inappropriate objects from the human's point of view. But the dog doesn't see it as such. So he's apt to chew your table leg here because, oh, that's great to chew on that wood.
Good and hard.
And if owners are not supervising, they're not watching what the puppy is doing, they're reactive. What did you do here? Well, by the time they notice it, it's too late. With the mouthing on fingers and hands and the play mouthing where the dog wants interaction with you.
And those puppies have very sharp teeth.
Oh, they're horribly sharp. And it hurts. Well, we let the puppy know that it hurts. Mom dog, the puppy's dam, certainly had disciplined her infants for chewing on her when she had had enough. We will recommend that there is a sharp note or ah or out that is kind of barked. And that is usually enough to get a very young puppy to just stop and look at you.
What did I do, Mom?
Yeah,
what did I do?
Which allows you to move in and say, this is what you chew on, and offer them an appropriate object. As the puppy starts to mature, I like the puppy bumping on hands and basically using his nose to kind of bop, rather than using the teeth to say, I want to play with you right now, so I'll just grab your sleeve and chew on it a little bit. That's how dogs play with other dogs. That's not how they should play with people. So we're trying to teach two different behaviors here. But it doesn't take too long to teach puppies not to chew if you're consistent and you're supervising.
And if you can't supervise,
the crate is your best
it is not
friend.
Punishment for a dog.
No.
It is not. People say, isn't that a cruel thing to do?
No.
Well, yeah, it is a cruel thing to do if you're going to leave that puppy in the crate for 8 hours. It's horrible, but if that's what you're forced to do, you shouldn't have a puppy.
And even we say, have a neighbor come in and let your puppy out at noon. Basically, the puppy is a denning animal. They require a lot more sleep than most people think.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, the puppy is happy in a crate. They curl up and they go to sleep, and they're, I don't know where your dog is right now. Where's she? Denning
right
over
out,
here
look
somewhere.
Outside. Look out the window.
There she is.
Yeah.
But basically, they like to curl up. They like to be in a nice, close little environment.
I
So
would say
crates
to
are
my
not
dogs, go to
punishment.
your room, sweetheart. And they'd go to their crates, and they were side by side, and they would each get a chew toy of some kind in the crate to keep them busy.
Absolutely.
And then I would go, and that would work. But I want to move on a little bit now from puppies and talk about the other dog that comes into the house, the ones that I show you lots of every time we do a show, the adult shelter dog. And when you adopt an adult shelter dog, you're pretty much adopting a pig in a poke. There are things you can know. There are things the shelter might know. And then there are the things that you get surprised with. And there are always surprises.
Yes.
Okay, how do you approach a shelter dog? You've brought this dog into your house. He's a 2-year-old spaniel mix, seems very sweet. And the phone is ringing, so we're going to ignore it. Just ignore it, let it go. And you got this dog in the house. What would be your first step to trying to handle him, train him? He may or may not be house trained.
You treat the adult dog as you would a puppy. Assume they know nothing, that there is nothing between the ears. And that always surprises people because certainly someone has taught them to sit, maybe. 1 out of 10 times they'll obey. But the dog knows more than you probably think. But we do treat them as puppies. I don't assume they're housebroken. I assume that they've been given up because they were chewers. That is
one of the
probably
reasons.
the major reason that dogs are given up. I am going to assume that they've knocked the kids down because they jump. I am assuming they will mouth. I'm assuming all the things that go on with puppies. Quite a few of the shelter dogs we get have been found loose, stray dogs. These are dogs that run through the front door every time it opens. And then people have to learn that they just treat it as a puppy. And if they have that mindset, usually we come out great.
Yeah. This is all of my last 5 have been rescues.
Yeah.
And they have, every one of them, been a joy and a delight after about 6 months that were neither joy nor delight. Which is not to say some of the dogs that we will have on the show today, very frankly, are, I mean, they're perfect. They're wonderful. They're housebroken, they're trained, they're sweet, they're laid back, and they're absolutely wonderful. And there are dogs you adopt from a shelter who walk into your door and fit into your life immediately. And then there are dogs like my Libby who walked into the house, fit into the house immediately. And the first time I left her alone in the house, she unstuffed a 9-piece sectional sofa.
Oh, yes.
The entire thing in 15 minutes. So we don't know what they're carrying. So yes, you're right. You treat them as you treat them as blank slates that you're, and they make wonderful. You know, these guys are so wonderful. It breaks my heart to see them in cages. I wish they were all in homes. I really, really do. And we're out of time.
Wonderful.
Which is terrible. No,
Great to
because there's
be
so
here.
much to talk about. Marge, I really want to thank you. If people have questions, or if they're looking for a trainer, do you want to give them a way that they can contact you?
We do not have a website up. We have never needed one. And we're strictly referral. We're in the phone book. You can contact us through Leash and Collar at 847-945-4544.
And they are wonderful. And I have had dogs that they have helped me train, or trained me to train. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's been fun being here.
We are
Always.
now going to Save a Pet. We'll show you some of those absolutely wonderful dogs waiting for homes.